Hi, it is around 11 p.m. And this is usually around the time that I get a burst of energy. So I'm gonna sit back, have a glass of wine, watch some YouTubers delve into Azula's psychological state, and start designing some 1950s summer dresses. Let's get into it. So I decided to go ahead and make some really functional clothing for this summer because I don't really have a good summer wardrobe. I don't enjoy summer. I don't enjoy wearing a lot of things when it's hot out, and partly because I have a lot of modern clothes made from synthetic fibers, which basically means that I kind of swelter in the heat. This is why I really want to make a good kind of vintage wardrobe for the summer with natural fibers that will let me breathe and absorb sweat and do all that magical stuff that natural fibers do. So I've already started browsing around for fabrics online from local Portland stores because I do want to support my local businesses as much as possible, and I've already found a few fabrics that I like. So now I'm going to start designing some dresses so I can get into the mock-up process. I want to stick to a classic 1950s style dress shape for each of the dresses, but I'll change up the bodice patterns a bit for each one. So I guess it's time to start designing and continue watching the psychological breakdown of the Fire Lord family in Avatar while drinking wine. Alright, I've got a few simple designs down and fabrics allocated to each design, and as you can see here, I went all out with doing the triangles that are on this one fabric, but didn't care to do it on the back. Oh well. So now I just have two more designs to do. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy all these fabrics right away. It kind of depends on what the total comes out to and how much fabric I actually need for each one. But I'm going to go ahead and design two more dresses for the other two fabrics that I have in mind, and then I'll start in on the mock-ups.
In much the same as she did in the beach, Azula then lashes out violently, smashing the mirror to reassert her position based on violence.
Alright, so I have my front and back panels cut out for the circle skirt. It is best, if possible, to cut out the full circle from one piece of fabric, if possible, but most fabrics don't come in that width. So usually if you're cutting from just a regular bolt of fabric, then you're going to have to cut it into a front and back panel. If you are new to sewing and want to make a circle skirt, I do recommend trying to find like a thrifted round tablecloth, and then all you have to do is basically cut out a circle in the middle and then add some sort of zipper or button attachment on the side, and there you have a circle skirt. And the nice thing about that is, one, you already have that full circle. You don't have to put pieces together like a front and back panel. You got that full circle ready to go. It's usually cheaper because it's a thrifted tablecloth, and it's already hemmed at the bottom. It's like basically made for you. And I have done that before, but since I want specific fabrics, I do have to go with the whole back and front panel bits. I'm also going to cut one of these panels in half so that I can have buttons down the front, and I'm going to figure that out later. So here we have the panels ready to go. I just need to sew them together, and then I can see what I'm going to do with the button front attachment, and then go ahead and move on to bodice pieces. Okay, so here I have the skirt put together, and as you can see, it is open in the front. I cut the slit down the front and then added these button seams. I don't know, button closure things. Hello. So I am editing this video, and just never mind my lipstick that didn't want to come off. Just don't think about it. And I'm realizing while I'm editing that I say button area a lot. And I decided while I'm editing to maybe educate myself on what that might be called if it had a word. And I think I've found that it is called a placket. Please let me know if I'm right or wrong in that. I'm sure some of you will. And please be aware that I do say button area a few times in this video, but I've now educated myself on it, and hopefully I can use the right terminology from here on out. But then I tried it on and I realized that it is quite large, which is very strange because I did the circle skirt calculation and I've done it in the past and it worked fine. So I must have miscalculated something. So I need to take down 2 inches on each side, which you can see I've pinned here. But that's not too bad. And I will say the nice thing about having side seams on circle skirts is that it makes it super easy to put pockets in. And who doesn't love pockets? Alright, so I took the width in around the waist a bit, so I'm gonna just check and make sure that it works. And it's perfect. Awesome. So here we have it matching up with the buttons, or where the button thingies would be. And we've got a circle skirt. Alright, here we are with my bodice. The center pieces overlap quite a bit just because I need to fold them in and do the button area. And I marked a dot here because I want to make this a V-neck rather than coming up into a collar. I don't want it to button up all the way. I don't want that. No. So I got to cut that down, make the button area, add some short sleeves, and then I'll go ahead and attach it to the skirt. I did make it a little bit longer, but once I have the skirt on, I'll cut off the excess, and then I'll have a legit measurement of how much fabric I need. So I have a not so done mock-up, but I have it done enough to be able to block out about how much fabric I'm going to need, so I can go ahead and order fabric and have that shipped to me, and that will give me plenty of time to finish up the mock-up for the final versions when the fabric gets here. Now obviously there's a lot of things wrong with this mock-up. I've got one, no buttons. So I'm trying not to stab myself with pins. The darts here are problematic, and they pucker and they pinch and everything. They also do that on the back, but that's easy enough to fix. I obviously only have one sleeve, and I want the dresses to have like the same base but different sleeves or different bodice structures. So I tested out this sleeve, which I quite like. Similarly, this bodice is quite low cut. I don't want that for all of my dresses, so I'm going to play with that a bit. Now when it comes to the buttons, I am not going to worry about putting those in on the mock-up because I don't want to spend the time or the energy doing that. Pins can serve that purpose just fine to make sure that it fits well, and I don't need to deal with buttons. So this is what I've got so far. I'm really happy with the fit and the look of it at this point. I'm going to go ahead and keep tweaking it and testing out new styles while I go ahead and order fabric for the final versions.
The night of the manuscript party, Darlington spent the early evening hours with the windows of Black Elm lit, handing out candy, jack-o'-lanterns lining the driveway.
Alright, so I've taken my mock-up apart and I've measured it, and it looks like I'm going to need about 4 yards of fabric for each dress. Now that is a decent amount of fabric, which is going to cost a pretty penny, so I've decided to limit the 5 dresses that I wanted to make down to 3 for the time being. I do hope to get to the other 2 dresses eventually. I will work on the mock-ups for them as well, but I think for right now it's the best option to kind of watch my money and limit my dressmaking to 3 dresses. So I've noticed that when I'm thinking about putting together a garment, I tend to pace around the house, trying to contemplate and maneuver the piece in my head to see how I'd put it together, rather than just doing it. Just a little interesting tidbit for you. Now the piece that I'm working on right now is one of these strapless dresses that I want to do. And the fabric that I ordered for this particular one is kind of like a lace eyelet type of fabric. It's see-through, which means that I'm going to need another layer under it. And I think what I want to do with that is use the mock-up fabric as my layer underneath. Because I like that fabric and I like the color and it's nice and light, so I think it'll work really well under the fabric that I ordered for the top part. So I'm going to be basing my strapless dress pattern off of this pattern here and trying to adjust this bodice to my size, which is always fun. But what I really like about this pattern is that it already has the button details that I want in the dress. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on this and see if I can fit it to me and how that goes. My goodness, there's so much pattern here. Just need one piece. So I was bad and didn't read the instructions. The back panel was actually supposed to be cut on the fold, so it's supposed to be just one big panel, and I didn't do that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try it anyway. If it's too small, then it's too small. It's a mock-up, but this is what I'm trying to figure out. So I'm gonna just keep plugging along, and if it's too small, then I recut it. Alright, so here we have the first attempt at a mock-up for this, and honestly it's not terrible. Obviously I don't have actual buttons in, so the pins, like, it puckers here. But I also think that's mainly because of the pins and how they're placed. But honestly, it's not that terrible. It definitely blends in with the tank top that I'm wearing, so you can't really see it that well. But the darts are well placed. It fits fine. The only problem that I have with it, since it is a strapless, is that it's a little loose right up top. So I kind of need to make a little curve here and tighten it around this area, because that is a spot that we don't really want to be loose. Now I will say that the final product will be double layered with the front fabric and then the lining fabric. So trying to test it with just a really lightweight fabric is difficult to try to get a feel for it, but I'm actually kind of surprised that it fits me decently well. Alright, so I have 2 of the 3 bodices done. They definitely need some tweaking, but I'm impulsive and I'm not very good at sticking to one thing for an extended period. So I'm going to move on to my next bodice, which is just going to be a pretty simple tank top style bodice. And once I play around with that for a bit, then I'll probably go back to my strapless dress one, because the fabric that I ordered for that one is actually ready to pick up. So I need to go back to that one and get that right and get it ready so that I can work on the final product of that one. But I think for the time being, I'm just going to play around with the next bodice, maybe for just a day, and then I'll go back to the strapless one. Now my fabric for the other 2 dresses I have ordered, but I'm not sure when it's going to get here. So I don't know when I'm going to be able to get a video up of the final product. But hopefully that will happen soon. And I will say that ordering fabric online is awful. I hate it. And it took me weeks to actually buckle down and order fabric, because I was just so indecisive, and some websites just don't give you enough information, and even if you like a print, you don't know if it's on the kind of fabric that you actually need for whatever you're making. So it really depends on the website. Some websites are really great at showing you how the fabric drapes and telling you about the weight of the fabric and what it feels like, where other sites are just like, this is a fabric, look at it. And it can be really nerve-wracking, especially because it's something that is cut for you, so most places don't accept returns. So I was definitely picky and I was very indecisive when it came to ordering fabric, but I have ordered 3 fabrics for 3 dresses, and I'm pretty confident in them, I think. But I'm really excited to see them, and I hope they get here soon. Now I will say that I've felt a little overwhelmed with this project, which I find kind of funny, because I just finished up, a pretty big project, and this one is fairly simple in comparison, but it has come at a time that I've lost a lot of motivation and have been lacking creativity. So I've been struggling to work on it, and it's been frustrating me more than normal. But I know this is because of COVID. I know it's because I really haven't left the house in 4 months, and I don't really have a daily routine anymore. So I've realized that it's really important for me to create some sort of daily routine for myself and really get back into my projects, because being creative and working on my sewing or whatever project that I want to work on does help me focus and help my mental state and help me feel better in this time right now. Alright, so I'm going to continue working on my mock-ups, probably get started on the next one because I can't help myself. And then I get to go pick up one of the fabrics this week, which I'm really excited about. You know it's sad when you get excited about leaving the house to go pick up a fabric. Like, I don't think I even get to go into the store. Like, you just knock on the door and they hand it to you and you leave. Like, and I'm excited about this. In other news, I did do a roller set in my hair for the first time in like 2 months, and I think I forgot how to do it. It didn't go well. And I have makeup on, which is another thing that I haven't done in a while. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed watching. Go ahead and leave a comment below, like this video, or even subscribe. Stay sane, stay safe, and stay healthy, and I'll see y'all next time.